think as a musician, I've learned the importance of listening to music and to different styles and what different artists have to say, but also outside of music. You, I think, can learn a lot about someone and where they're coming from just by listening to what they have to say. It's a pretty unlikely story that someone, raised in Kalamazoo, Michigan, of all places, would end up becoming a professional musician specializing in Indian music and Indian rhythm, but that's exactly what happened. My teachers always emphasized, the value and the importance of practice and discipline and learning. If you practice sincerely and work smart at what you do, over time, you will be recognized for it. All the 8 beats start on the second clap. All the 4 beats. It's just having the right, clear focus on constant improvement, and constantly pushing your limits in whatever it is you're doing will be personally and professionally rewarding. All right, so you can. That's more of like an udity. That's maybe not a chord wave. That's more of like an udity of three versions of it. Can you play that? Can you play that in the medium section? I always sort of half joke that I suppose I chose the mridangam, but in many ways it chose me. This isn't necessarily a conscious decision that you make as a child. In many ways, an artistic career is often something that just chooses the individual over time through all sorts of events that are completely unpredictable. But, the mridangam in particular is an instrument that it represents tradition, right? This is an instrument that has a history of over 2,000 years. I often describe it as like a hand drum set. It's in many ways I feel honored to be part of this tradition.
And welcome back. Joining me right now for our artistic performance is Rohan Krishnamurthy, who is here to show and play us Indian percussion music. Thank you very much for being here.
It's great to be here. In the greatest forms of rhythm that we have today. I really, view the mridangam as this kind of infinite source of material for so many different types of artistic and creative projects. In fact, one project that I'm currently working on is part of the San Francisco Arts Commission to compose a solo work for solo mridangam, kind of reflecting the changing soundscapes and rhythmscapes of San Francisco. Soundscapes are generally, something that are often taken for granted. It's almost like a landscape, soundscape. These sounds that are very much, define a community or a space. But something that you just take for granted, especially if if you feel at home in that space. Okay, I think I might actually go. And even as musicians, it's easy to sort of overlook the natural and humanly created sounds around us. So to just kind of focus on that, and then to see how that sort of varies across the city, and to see how those sounds relate to larger social and cultural trends and changes in the city. Wow, it's crazy how much the iPhone's picking up.
Yes, you are.
All parties. Thank you, sir.
Every neighborhood in the city has a different kind of pulse. This Saturday, there's also, of course, a very significant political event, the presidential inauguration, and with that, it's also the Women's March. I'm hoping to participate in, and I can imagine the sort of soundscape that comes with that. And I think those types of events are also very representative of the city and what's going on. Gathering all these sound samples, field recordings has been a lot of fun. And there's always this kind of, interesting dialogue between like what you expect to hear versus what you actually end up hearing. And, you go into it thinking, here are maybe a few things that I expect to hear. And maybe you hear them, maybe you don't. Or maybe you hear them in a different way. Or maybe there's stuff, that you just didn't even expect and you hear it. So it's sort of interesting to go into it as open as possible. Open to, recording and hearing what that specific scene has to offer at that time.